Welcome back to another episode of Mariners Forever. I'm Dan Viens. You may know me from Seahawks Forever, but we're going to build this channel. We're going to build it together. I am a full-time independent content creator. If you're not familiar with my Seahawks work, that's the main gig over there. But if you would, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Help me build this thing up. Checking in today at kind of a early season temperature reading for the Seattle Mariners. They're disappointing. They're doing it again. They're off to this crappy start yet again, but I, ever the optimist, as much as I try to be, and the Mariners try my patience every April and May, it would seem, but I'm going to try to keep the optimism up. I'm going to give you 5 reasons today to not stop believing in the Mariners. In the words of the great Steve Perry, don't stop believing. Don't sleep on these Mariners. Reason number 1, above any and all other reasons, is the American League West is giving them the opportunity to remain in this race and at some point to seize the race. This division is not running away from them. And the run differential also speaks to the fact that they have played better than their record. They are plus 11 in run differential. That makes their expected record 23-21 instead of 21-23. So you can see how that stacks up. And then against the rest of the division, the Rangers are at 0. They're the next closest to the Mariners. And then the A's at -4, the Angels at -3, and the Astros at -43. That's in part why things look the way they do. And we talk about run differential a lot in terms of, or we did last year in terms of the Seattle Seahawks, and how as the season goes along, it becomes one of the most important and consistently correct metrics in determining or predicting record. And that the deeper you get into the season, the more positive your run differential is, the more likely it is to mean that you're a good team. And the fact that their run differential right now, given some of the struggles they've had with some of their bigger bats, Cal most namely, is a positive sign. It means that over the course of a long season, things are going to course correct. You hear the term regression to the mean. Well, the mean for the Mariners, based on all these other metrics, is that they should have a better record than they do. And if they were sitting at 23-21 right now, they'd be in first place in the American League West, as it is after last night's loss. In Houston, they sit at 21-23, 2 games back of the Sacramento Athletics. I'm not used to saying that. I won't get used to saying that. And then the Rangers, of course, a game and a half back, a half game in front of the Mariners. But it would appear at this point of the season that once again, the Los Angeles Angels are irrelevant and don't look like they have the kind of roster that's going to change course as we move forward. And the Houston Astros are just a shell of what they once were. And I think we're going to be having some conversations this offseason about potential tearing down there and maybe even trading off some of their big pieces. Maybe even before then, they might have some decisions to make when it comes to the trade deadline. Reason number 2, and this one I am happy to pass along to you and to talk about, and it's Julio Rodríguez. For all of the mind-numbing, frustrating, bad starts that he has historically gotten off to in his career so far, not the case this year. You see the comparison there and some ups and downs on the batting average, but the big difference there is you see in the OPS from 2023 to 2026, and these are numbers up through, well, it says through May 14th. Today is the 14th. So through the 13th, 2023 was .399 for his on base percentage, or his slugging percentage, excuse me. Let's read my own graphic correctly, shall I? The slugging percentage, you see there, .399 dipped to .325 in 2024. Last year, .406 at this juncture. This year, .440. So the on-base plus slugging at .773 right now. That is the highest it's been at this point in the season. Now, when you dig into it a little bit more, because, my first thought is, well, how lucky has he been? How much luck is involved here? Not much. Let's look at his batting average on balls in play, right? His BABIP in 2022, these are full season numbers, obviously, .345. In 2023, his BABIP was 330. 2024 was 344. His career low last year at 302 shows you the quality of contact that he made after he got past that slow start. This year it's 325. So it's his second lowest, or would be his second lowest of his career. So he's not getting lucky. When you start to dig into some of the other numbers, his contact percentage in the zone this year compared to last year, it's up about 4%. And he's first pitch swinging a significantly lower amount than he ever has. Last year for the season, and there was a lot of discussion, we talked about this a lot last year, how it was a conscious effort on his part last year to try to swing less at the first pitch, especially in the second half of the season. He talked openly about it. We saw some of the results. But for the entire season last year, he swung at the first pitch 45.5% of the time. So far in 2026, he's only doing that 31.2% of the time. Now, strikeouts are still slightly up, about 2%, but his walk rate is also up 2%. If you look at his StatCast page, it's a lot of blue. It's not all that impressive. The contact is weaker. The exit velocities are down. And yet the power numbers are the same. 7 home runs and 20 RBIs through the 13th of May. That's exactly the same as 3 of the last 4 years, 7 home runs through this period. So he's getting to the same power numbers, but he's making better swing decisions. This is clear. He's more comfortable in the zone, and when he sees a pitch he likes, he swings at it. He's still going to be vulnerable to the breaking stuff on the outside edge. Most hitters are when you execute pitches well out there, especially righty on righty. But the fact that he's getting on base more often, he's walking more, he's still getting to the power numbers, and yet, and this is the most promising thing, he still hasn't been murdering fastballs the way he normally does. Last year, he hit 280 with a 480 slug against fastballs. This year so far, 255 and 367. So all of those numbers I just shared with you that show a clear improvement in his approach and his consistency and the productivity. You look at his spray chart, he's using the opposite field. He's going with the pitch. He's taking what pitchers are giving him, and yet he still isn't blistering fastballs. That'll come. Very, very, very promising start for Randy and for Julio, and a huge reason that the Mariners should not be given up on yet. Number 3 is, I kind of gave it away there. I got a little ahead of myself, but it's Randy Arozarena. For all the consternation, hand-wringing, frustration last year with how he finished the regular season and then how that went into the postseason. We were hoping for the playoff Randy that we saw, especially as a rookie with the Rays. Didn't see it last year. And so there was, some among the fan base wanted him traded in the offseason. He's in a contract year. Maybe the bat speed isn't what it used to be. Maybe the power numbers aren't what it used to be. Very streaky hitter throughout his career. But he has been the most consistent force in this lineup and a stabilizing force when Cal has been struggling. Just broke that 0 for 30 streak a couple of nights ago. Might be an injury involved there now. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. But even that first homestand when Julio really struggled and we thought, oh, here we go again. When J.P. Crawford was out, Randy from day one has been that consistent force. 306, 389, 463, the triple slash. I mean, I talked about regression to the mean. He's probably due for a slump. I don't think Randy Arozarena is going to hit 300. Gosh, no one does these days throughout the course of an entire year, though. But he's still getting to the power numbers, 4 home runs, 16 RBIs. He's stolen 11 bases, a 148 WRC plus right now. That means he's 48% better than the average hitter in Major League Baseball, and a 1.6 wins against replacement, or wins above replacement so far this season. Outstanding for Randy. Where would they be if he hadn't gotten off to this kind of a start? So those are 3 of my 5 reasons that I want you to Don't Stop Believin'. I got to keep referencing the Journey title. If I'm gonna go with the theme, I got to stick with it, right? I know the grammar's not perfect, but those are 3 reasons to don't stop believing in the Mariners. I'll give you the others in just a moment. But first, I want to tell you about an update to the merchandise store. Now, Mariners Forever is included. The link to get to the store is down below in the description. It's called Seahawks Forever, but I've got Mariners Forever gear up there now. Everything is marked down as low as they will let me mark it, to almost no margin for myself. But I just want to get some of this out there and get it on some of your desks and have you wearing it. And there is a little bit of a margin there. It is a good way to help support me during the football off season. And then all throughout the month of May, also, check out the Patreon. It's called Northwest Forever because I combine both channels, all of my Seahawks content, all of my Mariners content, all the videos, and for the Seahawks stuff, because that's a monetized channel, you won't have the YouTube ads in them if you watch them on Patreon. But you can also access all of the audio versions of both shows. My Substack writings, you can get in on our Discord, and there's exclusive bonus material over there as well. I get into some football scouting stuff, and so you can check that out. And right now, through the entire month of May, all memberships are marked down 20%. The best value right now is to get that annual membership and lock that in as we move forward. But that will continue all through the month of May. I appreciate it. Reason number 4 to don't stop believing in these Mariners is Luke Raley. The thump has been very real. We've been hoping to see this from Raley ever since he was acquired 2 years ago, but injuries have kept him from being a consistent force or a consistent presence in the lineup. And he's getting platooned still. That's going to happen when you don't have elite or even above average defensive skills. But 262, 331, 570. With 9 homers, 24 RBIs, a 155 WRC plus in 119 plate appearances. That is outstanding from the left side. Don't want to count out Dom Canzone either. He's been really good. It's given Dan Wilson some tough decisions there sometimes, especially when a left-hander is on the mound. And he doesn't always make the right decision. Last night, pinch hits for Rob Refsnyder again because he was acquired to hit left-handed hitting. But Dom Canzone's hitting left-handed hitting better, and so that was a questionable move. But Raley's been great. I mean, he still is who he is. The strikeout rate is 36.1%, but you're going to have to live with those, especially where they have him hitting usually at the lower half of the lineup. But a 155 WRC plus, however you get there, you're going to take. And again, similar to Randy Arozarena, if it's not for Luke Raley's strong start, the Mariners be in a much worse position, certainly. And then the 5th and final point is the pitching is still legitimate. It is foundational. It has been healthy. At least the rotation has been for the most part. Just got Bryce Miller back, and he looked good yesterday. In fact, my goodness, the average velocity on his fastball last year, and obviously he was dealing with the bone spur, the bodies in his elbow, missed some time last year. It was around 94.5, 95 miles an hour. He was 98, 99 last night. Really promising. Now the Mariners are going to go with a 6-man rotation for the next 2 times through as they play 14 games in 14 days. And then they said they're going to piggyback Castillo and Miller. We'll see how that works out. Could be a precursor, as crazy as it sounds, to move your highest paid starting pitcher into the bullpen. But that could be a decision that the Mariners will be facing here in a couple of weeks with Luis Castillo. But the pitching has been really good. George Kirby has been really solid from start to finish. Remember this time a year ago, he was just coming back after missing the first couple of months with injury, but 5-2 with a 2.84 ERA in 57 innings pitched, 46 strikeouts, 14 walks, a 3.25 FIP, and a 1.2 WAR so far this season is outstanding. And baseball still believes in the rotation. A poll at the end of April, 15 out of 16 major league executives picked the Mariners to win the American League West, and they noted the pitching. One American League executive said, quote, the best set of arms 1 through 13 in the game, end quote. So that's the good news, right? we've had Cal Raleigh not hitting, and now he might be hurt. We've had some ups and downs with some other hitters in the lineup. Julio got off to the really poor first week and a half. But the Mariners are still built in a way that plays well in October. They just have to stop making April and May feel like a self-inflicted obstacle course and like a movie that just keeps playing on repeat. Now, I've got a couple of bonus reasons, but first let's talk about the stuff that is a concern. Cal Raleigh last night looked like that issue on his right side, the oblique that caused him to miss a day earlier this week or late last week. He was seen grabbing it, wincing at one point while he was playing defense. That obviously could be an issue. Now, a couple of days ago, I'm sure many of you saw this, got a lot of traction online. Harold Reynolds on the MLB Network showed how I think it was Harold Reynolds. Was it Harold Reynolds? That it just looks like Cal's timing is slightly off, that he's just a little bit behind. And he showed some footage from last year how, by the time, with his timing, with his front step, with his leg kick, the timing of when the pitcher's releasing the baseball, where he is in that kick. And last year he was already coming down with it. He had already made a decision on whether he's going to swing or not. This year he's way behind and no chance to catch up to velocity or to good stuff. An injury would explain that, right? Especially core injury. I mean, that is tough. And it's going to take away, if you don't have that core strength, you can't pull the trigger as violently as you want to or need to. And as a switch hitter, right, it's going to impact him differently from each side of the plate. But it puts more stress on that in a way than it would a hitter that's only hitting from one side of the plate. So we'll see. It sure seems right now like the time would be perfect to put him on the injured list. Like if he genuinely needs a couple of weeks in order to heal that thing up, and then maybe even a week down in Tacoma on a rehab assignment just to get some swings in, get that timing back without any pressure, then do it because of all these other reasons I mentioned and how the division is allowing them to hang around. Do it now and get by with backup catchers, because when you go 0 for 30, despite Raleigh being stitched across the back of your jersey, you can't do any worse from the catcher position. So you can make do with Paredes and Mitch Garver. They can figure that part out as long as you're okay defensively behind the plate, and you can survive now. But an injured Cal Raleigh that's not hitting makes no sense at all. If this was 2025 Cal and he's still hitting bombs every 7 or 8 times out, then you let him work it out while he's playing in games, but that just doesn't seem to be the smart thing right now. Obviously, there's some injury issues in the bullpen as well. Matt Brash still working his way back. It appears that Andre Munoz has found his stuff again. He's been pretty good the last couple of times out, but that bullpen is short. Another reason why I don't mind the 6-man rotation right now, as much as I don't like messing with guys' routine in there and having them be off schedule. Maybe it gives Luis Castillo a little bit more time to work on his stuff on the side. But also maybe these guys can go a little deeper into games, and we'll see if Dan Wilson manages that way. Be a little bit more willing. Maybe the other night when Logan Gilbert was rolling, even though he was into the 90s in his pitch count, maybe should have let him go out there for one more inning because it looked like he still had good stuff to try to preserve your bullpen, try to get to Munoz quicker without having to use some of those guys that are untested. Told you I'd give you a couple of bonus reasons. Here they are. The bottom of the order has not been a black hole this year. And when some of the injuries started to happen early, and then we saw that, Leo Rivas just wasn't going to give you anything. And then Brendan Donovan had to miss time. That it was a big issue in the playoffs last year is the bottom of that lineup. Well, it's been pretty good. Cole Young has kind of come back down to earth a little bit, but he's been solid, still running a 101 WRC plus. But for a guy that young who's still figuring it out, 247, 324, 357 while playing Gold Glove level second base defense. I told you guys he could play second. The struggles last year, maybe it was part of the wrist injury. Maybe it was just the pressure and he's worried about how he's not hitting. He's been great at second base. Thank goodness they didn't make that Ketel Marte trade. Check his numbers just for fun. Dom Canzone, as I mentioned, has been real good. 253, 323, 471. That equates to a 126 WRC plus. He had the massive grand slam the other night for his 4th home run. JP Crawford, even since he's come back from injury, even though he's only hitting 208, the on-base percentage is 361, which is giving him a 117 WRC plus because he's walking at an absurd clip of 18.1%. So, hey, if you're not hitting, get on base. Billy Beane would be proud. So those guys down at the bottom of the order have done a really nice job. And then I've got one more for you. If you're concerned about depth, you're concerned about maybe there's still a bat short, they still are in position to make a move at the deadline, maybe as well as any team in the league. MLB Pipeline just came out with their midseason top 100 again, and even though the Mariners farm system as a whole has dropped down in most of the rankings out of the top 10 in many cases because of some of the guys they traded away in the offseason and some graduations. They still have 6 of the top 100 prospects in the game. And that doesn't include Felton Celestin, who's on a 20-game hitting streak, is hitting over 400 during that stretch. He looks like he's about ready to be promoted from Everett to Arkansas. But they have enough depth and be beyond the top guys, right? We see what Cade Anderson, Ryan Sloan are doing. We see Colt Emerson, now that he's healthy, kind of getting hot. I don't think it's going to be long before we see him in the big leagues. They can go out and get that extra piece at the deadline. Now, it doesn't this year look like it's going to have to be as heavy lifting as they had to do last year. You're not going to have to go out and get 2 middle-of-the-order bats to make your playoff run and do some damage in the playoffs. It might be a bullpen arm. Now, those are costly at the deadline, but the Mariners have enough quality depth in that farm system that they can go out and make those kinds of deals if they need to. And then I mentioned him a moment ago, but we haven't even talked about Brendan Donovan. He has not been the player that we expect that he looked to be those first 3 weeks, because then he got dinged up. When he starts to get healthy and gets his timing back, and you add that bat to the top of this lineup with everything else we talked about today, that's when things get really, really promising, I think, for the Mariners. So do not give up on the Seattle Mariners. Don't stop believing. It's the most downloaded song of all time, the greatest male singer of all time, for a reason. Don't give up on this team yet. I know it's frustrating, but we're going to follow along with it. Don't give up on Mariners Forever either. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Help me get to that 1,000 subscriptions. That's when I can really start to unlock some features and stuff on the channel. And as we do that, we'll get into some live streams and we'll have some Q&As. Next week on the show, Brady Farkas is going to be joining me. Let's start getting some big-time guests on there, and he's one of the best in the Mariners content creation world. Brady and I have connected on Twitter for quite some time, so he's going to come on the show next week. Stay tuned for more. I've got a Mariners Forever Twitter, but it's so hard to build on Twitter these days. Just follow me on Seahawks Forever. That's why I've got it down there at the bottom. Until then, forever and always, go M's. We'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.